welcome back to Manjelah. In this episode, we're gonna talk about what? You're laughing at me. You do you. Ladies, don't care what nobody thinks about you, not even your husband. Okay?
How do you see
He
me?
can laugh at you, he can mock you, but you do you, queen.
I'm not laughing or mocking.
You do you. That's how you got him in the first place, right? Right? Okay. Thank you. Anyways, welcome back to Manjelah. This episode, we're going to talk about a marriage intensive retreat that we went on in Nashville, Tennessee. It is called the Master Heart Marriage Intensive Retreat, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's Master Heart. And it's Krista and Lucas Gifford. They are really good friends of ours, and they are doing these marriage retreats and counseling and life coaching, and they're just amazing people. And we've been friends with them for quite a few years. Love them dearly. And when I heard about them doing this marriage retreat, I was like, oh, that would be awesome for Manny and I to go to. But I was working that weekend that they were doing it. So I was like, oh, that would have been awesome though. Next thing you know, last minute, my show gets canceled. And I was like, oh, we can go to the marriage retreat now. So then I came to Manny and I had to like delicately bring it up because let's be honest, Manny, we don't really want to like do stuff like that. I feel like.
Wait.
Listen.
You're throwing me in a very weird subcategory of men.
But listen, hold on, and this is not all men. I'm just saying, it's kind of like women, we like to talk about our emotions and our feelings, and guys, not so much, even though you do.
And
but,
you don't.
But when I brought up this marriage conference retreat thing, I was like, babe, do you want to go? And you're like, well, I don't know, you think we need it? Like, I think men automatically, the fear comes in. Like, am I doing something wrong? Do we need to fix something? Like, you're immediately going to fix it mode. Like, what's wrong? Like, are we supposed to? Are we falling apart? Like, what?
Well, because I didn't know what it was about. So I was like, wait, am I getting blindsided right now? Like, is something wrong that I don't know about? And we're about to find out in the worst way ever. But I'm always down for counseling. You know that. And I've always had a blast doing it.
You're always down for it after some initial proving of my point of why we
Erroneous.
No.
Erroneous on all counts.
And then, of course, before we get there, it's the, babe, I'm going for you because you want me to go. It's not because you wanted to go. It's like, babe, I'm going for you.
Again, at this point, I did not understand what it was. I just got on a plane.
And I appreciate that.
So I was like, I'm here for you. I don't know what to expect. I don't know whatever, but I'm going to give it my all because I'm here for us. I'm here for you.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
And then I get it. No, you sounded like it was like I was like a typical like jock husband where I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to that stupid crap, talk about feelings with a bunch of stupid people. That's what it sounded like.
I don't think I sounded like that
but
at all. Please leave us a comment and let us know if you think I sounded like that. Thank you very much.
All I'm saying is I was down. I was down to do it, and we
you
did
were
it.
down, and you
and
went.
it was very interesting because it was the first time I ever got in a group of a bunch of dudes, older men, not even older. I was probably one and old too. But we were all in this room.
Younger men and older men. I think you meant to say the rest of that sentence.
Yeah.
There were some younger dudes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was probably one of the old dudes. It was very interesting because the exercises that we had to do was stuff that I've never done before. Like meditation, like intensive connection work, which is like we had to stare at each other. Stare into my left eye, stare into your left eye. We had to stare at each other like this.
You don't want to give some context for that? Okay, I'll do it.
With sometimes your wife and sometimes not your wife.
So we did an exercise where we would learn how to establish a human connection, right? And so we would have to stare into each other's eyes, and they would say left eye to left eye because the left eye is known to be more receptive. The left eye is, I think, you're masculine. I think.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the
yeah. Okay, I don't remember. Okay, one of those. So anyway, so we did this exercise where we had to look into each other's eyes, and then we had to determine how safe you felt for me. And what they were teaching was the men to be that safe space, that safe pole, is that what you guys were calling it? The safe container for the women and all of our femininity. They were teaching the men how to be able to be that safe space and hold all of our femininity, which is everything from all our emotions, anger, rage, sadness, grief, joy, how big we are, how emotional we are, how talkative we are,
and we found all that out the hard way, because the first night we all got in a big circle, all 30 couples, and we had to we had to go in front of all the women, like, so we had to switch to other wives.
Oh yeah, okay, that's so.
And we had to stare at each other for like 5 minutes straight.
Okay, but hold on. So first you do it with your partner, your marriage partner, right? And then I would have to give him a number of how safe he felt to me, and then give him a critique of how he could feel more safe to me. And then they had to switch to someone else's partner and do that same exercise, which was kind of awkward because you're staring into the eyes of some strange man I've never met before, and then immediately like all these like feelings come up of like fear, shame, even like I'm taught to like, you don't like gaze into someone's eyes that's not your husband, like this feels like bad or something. But they were teaching us to have a human connection. And they're saying that sometimes when you've been with your partner for however long you've been with them, it's hard to see the human outside of all the history that you have. So like we have history together, so whatever hurt or trauma or resentment or whatever you have, it's hard to see the human outside of that history. So now you're standing in front of a human that you've never met before, you're gazing into their eyes, and then you have to tell this stranger how safe they make you feel or not safe they make you feel. Like, that was so awkward.
Yeah, from 1 to 10. 10 being safe.
And 1 obvious.
Not being so safe.
But here's the thing, it was so emotional.
It was awesome.
Like, I remember the first guy, like, switching with, and both of us had like tears welling in our eyes. Like it was this weird, intense human connection. And it wasn't like, ooh, like we're attracted to each other. It wasn't even that. It was just like a human soul connecting with a human soul. And it was so emotional. Like both of us, like there's people like full on crying. Like it was pretty intense and awesome.
From something like that to us, all our guys getting in a room and literally screaming out the anger, the pain, the hurt. Like imagine 30 dudes in a room sitting across from each other, again, staring face to face, eye to eye for just 30 minutes. Most dudes don't stare at each other in the eye unless they either want to fight or whatever, but eye to eye with another dude, and then you're supposed to let out what anger sounds like, what anger sounds like, what hurt sounds like, and all of a sudden the room explodes into an immense amount of crying, screaming. There was a ton of F-bombs, a ton of like, and I was in there like, oh my God. And it was, you didn't have a time to really think that this is weird or this is whatever, because you're in it and you're feeling the pain and you're holding it for these people. Like it wasn't a funny moment. It was a moment of like freedom. And that's all I kept thinking in that moment was how many guys are hurt or feel overlooked, feel not important, feel maybe less than a man because of a dad or because of a grandparent or because of their wives. And so to hear everyone get it out and just whatever, it was such a beautiful thing that I was like, man, if anybody was listening in, they probably think we were freaking crazy. But what was happening in the room was like healing and freedom. And when we got out of there, I mean, everybody walked out just light. And that's when we got to go in front of you guys and was able to really hold that
Because it was
love.
like symbolic of you, and not even just symbolic, but actually you guys emptying yourself out, your anger, your whatever things have been like stuck in you, and emptying that out so that you could be this open, safe space for us, so that we could just let it all out for you, and that you could take it for us. It was really powerful the whole entire weekend.
What I learned specifically to us, because it's not just we're talking about a random marriage retreat. For us, what it did for us was, it helped me realize, because I didn't really have anger or any of that stuff in me, but I had this feeling of like wanting to succeed because of all the things that I've done thus far. I feel like I've never reached like what I thought it could do, like the careers that I've chosen. I was more like saddened that they never got to where I thought they should have gotten to, and not feeling like I had something awesome to show for it. And I remember telling her, like, man, I feel like, not like I failed, but just like when you have those missed opportunities, those things that you feel like you could have gotten, but something or another, because of this or that, you don't reach that full potential. And that kind of saddened me to the point where I was like, man, babe, do you feel like, like, are you good with me? Like, as far as like my life, as we collectively total it up, like, do I still feel like a success? And that was heavy on me. That was really heavy on me. And that really affected me. Of course, I snapped out of it, but that was the hardest thing that hit me when we were doing our guys intensive. And a lot of guys felt that way, that feeling of being enough, being successful and enough for your woman and for the world. It was intense.
I remember when you first told me that you didn't have that anger in you to come out. I was so surprised because this guy's road rage is like level 100.
Yeah, that's not psychology. That's stupidity.
I was like, listen.
That's stupidity.
If you wanted to see Manny's anger come out, somebody just cut him off in the
and
exercise.
Almost kill us.
That would be.
That would get
not
anybody
even
mad.
Almost kill us. Like, he don't want to let you in the lane. You're like, oh, really, guy? Really, you couldn't? You didn't see my blinker? Okay, thank you.
Courtesy reveals a lot. There's no courtesy.
There's a little, maybe scratch a little deeper. You might find your anger.
That's not like hidden anger. That's just.
We had to do an anger exercise as well, and I was actually sad that I couldn't like break through because I wanted to. There was like, we did an exercise to try to, for the women to let our anger and rage out. And let me tell you, when I tell you I got some anger and rage in there, I got some in there. And there's only one secret code to unlock that rage. And he is the only one who has that code. I don't even have the code. I don't even know what the code is. But this guy, he got it on lock, let me tell you. And so when we did this exercise, I could not break open. I couldn't do it. And I was so mad that I couldn't do it. I was like, I know there's stuff in me that I want to get out, and it wouldn't come out. But anyways, so we had our anger exercise as well. But what I learned and loved most was we learned how to embrace our femininity and our sexuality, which, coming from a Christian background, sexuality is not something that A, we talk about, or B, embrace and celebrate. It's something that we're taught to shut off until you get married. Like, don't even awaken these feelings until you get married. And then you get married and you're supposed to all of a sudden know how to do that and pretend that there's no like guilt or shame on you from the times when you weren't married and you were acting out and enjoying your sexuality, and then you have shame and guilt from that. And then now when you're married, you're supposed to pretend you've never felt that shame and guilt before, and there's no residue of it. Lies. So we did exercises to help us women embrace our sexuality and know that from sexual energy comes all things that have ever been created. animals, plants, humans. And it's like our connection to creativity, our connection to God, our connection to ourselves. So just some of the exercises that we did were so powerful, helped me in understanding of myself and my body, and knocking off shame and guilt and whatever else residue that I had. That was my favorite part and takeaway from this retreat. Was I came out feeling like empowered and free.
Yeah, and learning that there's not, you're not alone. Like the amount of stories that we heard in there were so intense that I was like, man, I didn't know people could deal with these things. Like the craziest stories. And it made my heart break. Not because of the story, but because I didn't know that these kind of stories existed. So it prompted us to want to talk about it, to want to talk about sex and its perception, especially coming from a religious background, and the beauty of it, and the amount of how we need to be open and be able to discuss it with each other, with a professional, with whoever, so that it's no longer looked as a shameful thing, but it's looked at something like Ann just saying, a source of all creativity, the beauty of the creativity of this world, like everything that exists. And so, man, if we listed all the things that we learned on it, we'd be talking forever. But I think we wanted to talk about it more so that if you found yourself in a place where your marriage is dealing with hurdles when it comes to sex and sexuality, women feeling not sexy because of how you were raised, how you were taught, whether it's church, family, mom, whatever, tragedy, trauma that makes you hide your sexuality, and then guys who are forced to now find it somewhere else, whether it be porn, whether it be looking at people on the street, whether it be anything, or guys who have been hurt, abused in some way, and their sexual prowess is completely different now because of what's happened to them.
It's dysfunction.
You're absolutely not alone.
Yeah.
Like beyond not alone. It's rare to even find someone that I've talked to, and I got to talk to a lot of people that, our sex life is perfect. Everybody has gone through something or has worked through something. So we wanted to encourage you guys to know that, man, you're not alone. If you are dealing with something, confide in a counselor, confide in a professional, or if you have people that are close to you, like accountability or homies or whatever that you trust to have the best intentions for you, like talk about it.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
And also sometimes our homies don't have the best advice because we're all in the same place. Like we may assume someone has like their marriage all together and like, let me ask that person advice. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if you can seek professional help, we would suggest do it, because even if, like how we were saying in the beginning, like he was like, is something wrong? Do we need to fix something? There wasn't anything wrong. It was just a great opportunity for us to go deeper in our connection, learn more about how we can connect, how we can quicker come back to connection when we've been in an argument or whatever it may be, how we can quicker come back to each other, and learning those tools. Like maybe your best friend has those tools, but maybe they don't. And so try to find a therapist or a marriage retreat or something, and just work on it, because marriage is work. Love and connection is work. That's why it's a practice. Like we have to practice connection. And that was one of the things they told us coming home, is to practice even left eye to left eye connection, like in the morning, just to establish connection, intentional touch, and all of that kind of stuff, because it's important and it takes work, and it's stuff that we will continue to learn and grow in our marriage.
So if you have any questions for us, like anything that we experienced, what we learned, shoot it in the comment section, and we'll go back, and if we have enough comments or whatever, we'll do another video answering the questions that you guys had, and because we're committed to helping. So hopefully you got a little bit of something from this. Subscribe, follow, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, and disclaimer, are not the experts. This is just our personal experience
yeah.
that we are sharing here.
We are no
with
doctors, except for Dr. Love.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, bye.